In my experience, farmers are cognizant of the importance of what they produce to the nutritional value of those that consume the material. My name is Daniel Gadd, small commercial farmer and a participant and member of Farmers Cooperative and a representative and advocate for smallholder farmers. I reside in Ethiopia and have lived there for the last 17 years, operating a commercial production farm and participating in the developmental farmers' activities in the country. The many things that we have seen as farmers with regard to international fora and the issues of farmers is the absence of a solid base for farmers' advocacy. My view is that the efforts to improve the condition of farmers over the past 50 years has borne fruit, and the numbers speak for themselves. However, we have lacked a consensus on the global agenda to adjust and change the way in which we address the condition and the fate of farmers and their ability to meet an increasing demand from a growing world population. The processing of food or the product of farmers into systems is not apparent to most farmer producers in the rest of the world, and especially in the developing world. We have failed to incorporate farmers into the system and help them understand the role they play, and also to carve a place for them in the global discussion, in the global agenda, to realize the importance of what they do and to help them improve and increase their productivity and improve their livelihoods and their place in this world. With regard to the importance of farmers' work to nutrition, farmers are cognizant of the importance of what they produce to the nutritional value of those that consume the material. Farmers see this as very important, that the nutritional value of what they produce has high importance to those that consume it. My feeling is with regard to the role of farmers in the transformation of food systems is that they are in general are not participants in the transformation of food systems. The farmers that I know of have an outsider view of presenting their crops, their outputs to markets. And the higher the markets are willing to pay, the more likely the farmer is to focus on that particular crop. So within Africa, and particularly in Ethiopia, and recently I have seen in the chickpea producers community, a desire to produce for export markets and not for domestic markets, because export markets at that time were paying a higher price. The export markets are driven by traders who aggregate, collect, and then sell to transformation opportunities. So farmers' role, in my opinion, is mostly on the outside of food systems and the transformation of food. We recognize that farmers have a very central role in the existence of food systems. So with regard to both the importance, the farmers' recognition of the importance of nutrition of what they produce, and also the role of transformation. They know somewhere out there someone is transforming this into food, but it's far away from where they stand. It's hard for developing country farmers to really have an understanding or a realization of what is transformation of their food or their crops to be supplied to the consumer markets that they supply to. In my opinion, is that we feel disconnected. The voluntary guidelines and food systems do not include us. We have not had a voice or an opportunity through our cooperatives, through our associations, farmers clubs, or farmers companies that we have formed. We're not available, willing, and participating in food system developments or in the discussion around food and food systems and nutrition on the global arena. Farmers have a role. The more farmers can participate in these discussions to supply food to the rest of the world, that linkage is broken. I don't think it is as robust as it can be. There are spots here and there that account for some connectivity, but the role of farmers, in my opinion, right now, is minimal. To some degree, I feel that the question should be more about what must be done to engage farmers and include farmers in the global discourse regarding food systems. What's at stake is significant to farmers. Farmers want to know, where do I go next? Young farmers who are coming up in the system of agriculture are asking themselves, with what they are seeing in the media and what they are seeing in the world that they live in, the demand in the marketplace, and what they are learning about sustainability, about maintaining ecosystems, the fragility of the economic situation that they are in, and the lack of attention they feel from their national political agendas. We give medals to people who run long distances. We give medals to people who open large factories. Well, we don't give medals to farmers. We don't give medals to farmer groups for recognizing what we need in the world in nutrition and participation in food systems and improving the supply of food. By subsidizing farming, we have recognized that we are unable to create a food system that has a foundation that has a strong economic value to us. We are not really willing to face up to the issue of the economic value that farmers represent in their production. It is an unfortunate historical black mark on humankind when throughout the world, in one way or another, we find that the very foundation of food systems has to be subsidized in our economic system. If I added up in the last 10 years, the amount of money that we have spent in just cash value of resources, I will tell you, if we ran a corporation like we run the farming systems or the agroecological, the food production and food systems of the world, we would all be starving. We would all be facing huge food shortages because this sector of our life would be recognized as something unsustainable. We must change the model. But when we get down to the bottom line of the end producer of the food products, from the wealthy economies, Canada, the United States, Western Europe, all the way through the small farmer in Burkina Faso, we find it to be an unsustainable economic model that needs to be subsidized. Yet we have spent trillions, not billions, trillions. Can we imagine for one moment, if we close our eyes and say, let us take this as an investment model and let us put this money, trillions, in the hands of farmers. Let us invest that money in the communities and societies in which the farmers live. We have spent more money in sustainable and well-operating sewerage systems. And yet, when it comes to food systems, And to those at the far end of the food production cycle, we have invested very little, and we are continuously studying, optimizing, trying to improve, and challenging our ability to produce enough food for all of us. We must measure ourselves and the efficacy of the projects and programs that we promote. We cannot expect farmers to produce at high levels when we have bright, shiny models and examples of what worked very well in single opportunity conditions. I think my colleagues at FAO will tell you that so much has been done, so much has been studied, and so many models have been created. But we don't roll them out in ways that make sense to change the lives of significant numbers and significant community participants in coming up with new systems and better systems. In the time that we have been working with the same kind of tools of low technology, we are now living in a world where we are able to communicate in large scale video conference calls like we are doing now. We have not expended the intellectual capacity of our community members to come up with ways to make the end of the food systems chain improve significantly. And yet at the same time, we have been able to participate in the development of the internet system from what once was a kludgy communication system to something today that connects all of us around the globe. Why can't we do that in farming? Why can't we do that for the beginning of the system we now refer to as the food system? That is the foundation, and that is the question that I feel that what's at stake here today, the participation of farmers, changing the model of how farmers participate in the development of guidelines, voluntary guidelines for the development, improvement of food systems.